Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government.
All right, happy Columbus Day, everybody. This video is totally unrelated, but I figured I would give a shout out to Columbus and all of the Italian viewers. This video is about JD Vance, who appeared on George Stephanopoulos' program. That's a difficult word to say, Stephanopoulos'. Anyway, it did not go great for George Stephanopoulos, who cut JD Vance off again. This is the second time he's done this on his program. I think that JD performed pretty well. And the thing that sort of set George off was the fact that JD Vance was countering his assertions about Tom Homan. So they were having this big debate about Tom Homan and whether or not he was guilty of corruption and accepted this mysterious $50K bribe. So I will just let the video play and you tell me who comes out better in this conversation.
Here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
It's so amazing. These shows get so much access, right? If you're ABC or even if you're in print, if digital, if you're Axios, you get all these scoops, you get all these interviews, exclusives, and then they totally squander them. Like as JD Vance said, you have 5 minutes or however long with the Vice President of the United States, and this is what you're asking him? I mean, I guess it did generate this media clip, so that's a good thing for George. Maybe more people will tune in next week to see if he gets into similar conflicts with his guests. But I thought that was a good pivot from JD Vance there, right? Like, once you bring up low-income women, I don't know that anybody can really counter that. It's a pretty emotionally charged thing to pivot the conversation to. So good job there, just from like a media training interview perspective. But JD Vance has appeared on George Stephanopoulos before, and as I said, he also got cut off then. So let's watch that clip and see how it compares. Okay, so this was 2024, and George and JD were going back and forth about the Supreme Court.
Abide by legitimate Supreme Court rulings, doesn't it?
The Constitution says that the Supreme Court can make rulings, but if the Supreme Court, and look, I hope that they would not do this, but if the Supreme Court said the President of the United States can't fire a general, that would be an illegitimate ruling, and the President has to have Article 2 prerogative under the Constitution to actually run the military as he sees fit. This is just basic constitutional legitimacy. You're talking about a hypothetical where the Supreme Court tries to run the military. I don't think that's going to happen, George, but of course, if it did, the President would have to respond to it. There are multiple examples throughout American history of the President doing just that.
You didn't say military in your answer, and you've made it very clear you believe the president can defy the Supreme Court. Senator, thanks for your time this morning.
No, George.
Roundtable's up next. We'll be right back.
Okay, so again, it's amazing to me. I don't know exactly what point this was filmed in 2024. But it's amazing to me that you could have someone like JD Vance on your program and you would just cut him off. You're not interested in his follow-up remark. I understand that the segment has to end at some point, but you're in the news and like presumably, let's take the segment from this year, presumably if you let the vice president of the United States keep talking in a very adversarial context, he might say something newsworthy. And that would be good for you. That would be good for your show. I just feel like whatever sort of problem George Stephanopoulos has with the Trump administration, whatever derangement is going on, that overrides his instincts as a newsman, and he makes these bad, emotionally charged decisions. And looking back on this conversation is actually quite interesting in light of rulings from the lower courts, from the district courts that we've seen this year, which really have tried to exert basically executive power. We saw, thankfully, that the Supreme Court has overruled a lot of these district courts. So we had Trump versus Casa Inc., and the Supreme Court said, no, you're not allowed to issue nationwide injunctions. There was a ruling saying that, you know, yes, immigration officers in Los Angeles are allowed to, talk to people based on observable characteristics, because I don't know how else you would identify someone who may be in the country illegally. Like, are we just gonna screen everybody at random? That seems like a waste of time, money, energy. All right, one more clip from this interview, which just went totally off the rails. This is George pressing JD Vance on J.B. Pritzker.
If you agree with President Trump that Governor Pritzker has committed a crime.
Well, I think that Governor Pritzker has allowed a lot of people to be killed in the city of Chicago and elsewhere, George. I think that it's disgraceful, and I think that he absolutely should suffer some consequences for the fact that there are thousands of innocent Chicagoans who are dead because he failed to do his job.
It's really a yes or no question. Do you believe he's committed a crime?
George, you're going to keep on asking this question. I'm going to keep on telling you that Governor Pritzker has failed to do his job. He should suffer some consequences. Whether he's violated a crime, ultimately, I would leave to the courts. But I certainly think that he has violated his fundamental oath of office. That seems pretty criminal to me. I'd leave it to a judge and jury to decide whether he's actually violated the crime.
I think that George has this attitude which is very common to lefties, which is quite legalistic. Like, well, if J.B. Pritzker didn't commit, any crime that's on the books, that I guess he's morally, sinless. He's clean. He's flawless. And what J.D. Vance is saying is a more philosophical point, right? Which is that you have been charged with governing a state, and so you have responsibilities to the people of that state, which you are not fulfilling, and so you're culpable in some way. And JD Vance is saying, like, and maybe we don't know the, precise crime that he's committed. Maybe he's not legally culpable, but JD Vance is sort of making a broader point about what a leader owes to their people. And I think that totally went over George's head, or maybe he's ignoring it on purpose. I wouldn't put it past him. But let me know what you thought of this interview in the comments section below. Have a great Columbus Day, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.